You know, your credentials says a lot about your level of experience, your knowledge of the system, and also possibly to bring that kind of needed change that Nigerians are looking forward to. You've exemplified that as Deputy Governor of the Central Bank. But one would think that if you have to respond to people who say that if you're not in the PDP or the APC, forget it. And considering that you are with the YPP now,
yes.
And one would have thought that perhaps you would have started on a lower scale, say the governor, for instance.
Let me answer you. I am operating at the level of my vision. My vision is a vision for the whole of Nigeria. I care about what is happening in Kano State. I care about what's happening in Sokoto, what's happening in Newi, what's happening in Ado-Ekiti. If you have a vision, you have a vision. It's like a pregnancy. Unless you give birth to that pregnancy you're carrying, you will keep feeling uncomfortable. Isn't it so? So
I've
why
never been pregnant before.
why? Well, I would say, therefore, that I am operating at the level of my vision, and that vision is at the level of the presidency, because that's where I will have the authority to be able to execute my plans for Nigeria. That's number one. Number two, if you look at the level of my experience, 17 years in the United Nations, fixing broken nations, whether Cambodia, whether Rwanda, whether the former Yugoslavia, at a very senior level of global leadership. My experience at the central bank in managing the Nigerian economy. Let me tell you that as deputy governor of the central bank, I controlled assets far bigger than the Nigerian budget, not to talk about a state budget. Being a governor is important. Being a senator is important. But in terms of both the vision and when you align it with the level of experience I've had globally and nationally, you can understand why it is natural for me to aspire to be the president of Nigeria.
Prof, let me put this to
Yes.
you. Dr. Moghalu has put forth his submissions. He has a vision. As he says, he's pregnant. And he's been speaking intelligently, and a lot of people are looking okay. But the question would be, with the system that we have and the kind of political class we have now, do you think Nigeria is ready for this kind of visionary leaders? Would they let him?
Who is they?
Who are the they?
We the people.
Well, when we met again this morning, that is the issue that I posed to him, that look, he's going to face tremendous odds from the powers that be, because they will not yield without a fight. People have been saying there has to be a generational change in leadership. The young people look around and see Justin Trudeau being Prime Minister of Canada. His father was Prime Minister when I was a student in Canada. Or you see Macron, President of France. So people are, in fact, my daughter says they don't believe or trust anybody over 50. I said, what of me, your father? I said, look, you are all old cargoes that were a spent force. So young people are looking for a change.
That's the truth.
And quite sincerely, I don't know if more of the same is what will galvanize the youth. And the young people in Nigeria, I understand, are about 60% of our population. Exactly. If 60% of our population want change, and they are not thinking in local terms, ethnicity, religion, it cuts across the country, the political spectrum. The young people want Nigeria to move. And so if they get a message from a messenger who really convinces them that a change can truly come, I'm sure Nigeria will turn around.
But Prof, we had a messenger in the Gani Fire-Me,
Yes.
and he had a message, but he wasn't given a chance to. And Patutomi, intelligent people who had the message of galvanizing, of moving this nation forward, but they never got a chance.
Their time had not come.
Exactly.
You see, their time had not come. If you are so many years ahead of your time, your message, just like the biblical parable of the sower, some will fall on the rock, some will fall in some thorns. But if you have somebody with the right message that will resonate with the majority of your population, that change will come.
I'm sure he will think his time has come.
I'll get back to you. But what about the proponents of the zoning formula? It's our time now. We cannot let it go until we finish our 8 years.
All that for me is political chicanery. You know, this zoning, it's not a question of who chooses his birthplace, who chooses his parents. You just find yourself in a particular community, or who chooses your sect. You follow the religion of your parents. Then when you are of age, of course, you reserve the right to go to heaven the way you want. But for now, these are things, they are not imponderable in terms of zoning, we are just chasing shadows. Absolutely. Because, as I said, I don't care whether you are Yoruba, whether you are Igbo, whether you are Hausa or Kanuri or Efik. It doesn't bother me. So I think the question of the idea of the Nigerian nation should be what should be on the table. Absolutely. Okay, and we should de-emphasize where people come from. Quite sincerely, it doesn't happen like that elsewhere. Otherwise, Justin Trudeau will not be prime minister. Okay, otherwise, Macron, technocrats with all that, young, look at how old the wife is, older than him. But we need now to move, we need now to develop. The world is developing around us, and if we don't join, we'll be left behind. Nobody will come and bail us out. Exactly. The power of the youth is critical, in my view. Yes. How many years do I have to stay in Nigeria? At best, maybe 10, if I'm lucky. So it's my children or even my grandchildren. I was talking with my wife last week. I said, Nigeria, we're discussing Nigeria. She said, is there hope for Nigeria? I said, well, there is hope for my grandchildren, not for, you know, what Shenka said, we're a wasted generation. Some say they are lost generation. This generation, they can't prescribe the solution. If you continue doing the same thing the same way, and then you expect radical results, I understand that's a manifestation of insanity.
Yeah. Please wait in, let's wind down with that.
Yes, let me first of all tell you that our time has come. You talked about Gani Fayomi, Patu Tomi. They were too far ahead of their time. If you look at the situation today in Nigeria, you can see that Nigeria is ripe for the type of radical change in political leadership that some of us are seeking. Then you talk about zoning. Let me tell you, 2019 is zoned to competence. 2019 is zoned to the beginning of nation building in the real sense in this country. 2019 is zoned to the war against poverty. 2019 is zoned to new jobs for Nigerian young people. Enough of this backwardness. We're talking about zoning. Do you care where your medical doctor comes from? So if you're sick, you go to the hospital, you need a doctor. You're wondering whether your doctor is from northern Nigeria or southern Nigeria. Who cares? The problems of Nigeria, poverty, joblessness, they are not zoned. Why would you zone the leadership that should bring the solution? Zoning is not in Nigeria's constitution. It's just a contraption formulated by Nigeria's politicians in one political party, to which I don't belong. So if you want to continue to talk about zoning, whereas poverty is increasing, crime is increasing, insecurity is increasing in this country, and you're still talking about zoning, like Professor Oyebode said, shouldn't we be wanting to join the world of the 21st century? Why do we want to continue in backwardness? So Nigeria's citizens have suffered for far too long under the bondage of our old recycled political class. It is now time for something new, something different, something bold. Our time has come.
And that's a fine place to end it, because the time has come for us to end it. Oh, fantastic talking to both of you, Professor Akin Oyebode of International Law and Moghalu, the presidential aspirant of YPP. Thank you for coming on, gentlemen.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
And can we succeed without power supply? It's a big problem, a challenge that needs to be overcome. Let's go to Abuja and get some insight on that one. Ajuri.
Let's have your phone.